Hi, I'm Brian White from the TV show Real Outdoors. Our good friend Buck Lavasser is going to be out for a bit, so I'll be filling in here on Discovering until he returns. One of the Midwest's premier brook trout streams can be found right here in the Upper Peninsula. I joined local guide Don Reed for a day in the pristine and picturesque waters of the Fox River. While in the area, I took a trip to the Seney National Wildlife Refuge and visited with Refuge Manager Mark Vanneman to find out more about the spectacular 95,000-acre piece of UP wilderness. Then on this week's Only in the UP, we'll find out what it takes to visit over 100 of the UP's finest bars when we meet up with Randy and Kevin Cluck, authors of the book Yooper Bars. So sit back, put your feet up. It's time for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone, forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak, surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields, call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill, the eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
Today's show is brought to you by Hiawatha Log Homes, building dreams one home at a time, and Wendrick's Truss, keeping the UP covered since 1975.
About 25 miles south of the shores of Lake Superior, you'll find the friendly town of Seney. Seney has a few claims to fame, including Andy's Seney Bar, but that's another story entirely. The most famous would have to be the writings of author Ernest Hemingway. In 1919, Hemingway got off a train at Seney, hiked to the east branch of the Fox River where he camped and fished. He wrote about the Fox River in a story called The Big Two-Hearted River. What true trout fisherman would give up his newly found fishing hole by name? The Fox flows south through Seney, gathering its waters from Alger and northern Schoolcraft counties. The river system is made up of the Fox and its branches, the East Branch, the West Branch, and the Little Fox. These pristine spring-fed waters offer some of the finest brook trout fishing to be found in the state of Michigan and remain largely unchanged from the days of Hemingway's visit. I'd fished these picturesque trout-laden waters many times and was anxious to return. I had the opportunity to spend part of the day on the river with local guide and owner of the Fox River Motel, Don Reed.
In the Fox itself, it's a range of fish size from 4 or 5 inch brookies to, the biggest one I actually seen come out here was 23.5-inch brook trout. That was a beautiful brook trout. The average size, I would say, probably measures from 7 to 10 inches. Once you get anything over 10 inches in the Fox, it's considered a decent brook trout. This year already, it was 17.25-inch brookie was caught, and that was, a gentleman's name is Tom Kettle. And a young lad here 4 days ago caught one 16 and a half, and he's from California. His family's originally from Seney. His grandfather was depot manager here for eons. But that's a beautiful brook trout when you get brook trout like that. And of course the color ranges are unbelievable too. In one hole you can catch the brookies, a classic brookie of real dark, dark tops and the beautiful orange bellies, to the typical white-bellied brook trout. So you never know what size you can get. I mean, there's times where I'm not going to catch anything big today. I'll catch the little ones, and all of a sudden, bingo, the monster shows up out of the blue.
Have you been dreaming of owning a log home, cottage, or camp? We are Hiawatha Log Homes, proudly serving the UP and satisfied customers since 1983. Our in-house staff of professionals are ready to help you create the perfect log home plan. Visit our website or stop by our model home and meet our staff. From cottages to castles, we can custom design to your specific needs. Hiawatha Log Homes, building dreams one home at a time.
Nothing big. A little fella. Quite the color there. Send me your grandpa. The foxes, it covers a long ways. You've got the little fox that starts clear up by Stanley Lake, which by Fox River Road you're looking at 15 miles of roadway. You can probably triple that by river. The springs of the Stanley Lake is probably another 1.5 miles, 2 miles up above that. And that's on the Little Fox. And then you got the West Branch that starts clear up close to Adams Trail. And you've got the East Branch of the Fox that crosses 28, 6 miles out of town. So there's a lot of river body to fish. A little better one. They're a beautiful fish, aren't they? The spreads, there's two different sets of the spreads. One south of 28, which the spreads are not quite as big as they used to be because of just the way the water has receded, you know, the lack of rainfall and snow. That's some phenomenal trout fishing. And then of course the spreads up on the East Branch. You go up 4 miles up on the 77 where the East Branch crosses, and then about ½ mile south of there to where the spread starts there, and it continues all the way down through south of Coal Creek where Coal Creek comes in. That's a natural fishery right there. What I'm using is a number 4 Aberdeen and a split shot up about 8 inches up. We're just kind of floating it down in the holes, bouncing it off the bottom the best we can. And that's just one of the baits I use. And the other one we use is we use Panther Martins, or the water gets real way down. We found that you try to start using too much flashy bait, the fish don't like it as much. Say, we used to use a lot of worms. We used to be able to dig them along the bank lines and stuff, but they're harder and harder to come by. And now pretty much everybody uses crawlers or small minnows or artificial bait. But when I was a kid, that's what we used to do. We used to dig crawlers and sell them to the local stores and take enough to go fishing for a couple days. But anymore, they're harder and harder to come by. The big unique thing about the Fox, there's almost as many snags as there's trout. 1880s and 1890s, when they cut all the white pine out of this region, they floated a lot of the logs down the Fox. In some of these places you can still see some of the remains of the big logs. A lot of times the tag holders along the river hang over, and it really makes a great area for trout to lay up under. There's an abundance of that. Usually trout fishing, it's going to be determined by the amount of snowfall. If we have a lot of snow up in the northern plains up here, then obviously the river's sky high and the trout fishing is not the greatest till the water recedes quite a bit. This year we've had lack of snow. It started probably that second week in May. Trout fishing started really well. A lot of times the water's out of the bank that last Saturday in April, and this year was way down. June, July, and August, some great fishing. September, some phenomenal fishing. Hey, little chubby. Beautiful colors. Weather plays a factor just like anything else. If we get rain like we had here 2-3 days ago, and you can see the river is cloudy, he's a wee one. And that's a lot of it from up north coming up off the... Well, it's the first one we caught on the spoon. The Kingston Plains area. It's a Panther Martin, our secret weapon. That plays havoc with the trout too. Because usually you can see right to the bottom, and she's cloudy. You can see the bottom, but it's pretty cloudy. A lot of fishermen come in this area. The Fox is really a blue water trout stream. They haven't planted a fox. They're a pretty fish though since 2005. The natural hatchery of the fox is good enough for the fishing activity we have here. So I guess that's a good thing. We have native brook trout instead of planted, which is a good thing, I guess. Yeah, this is a scenic and wild forever river. Means that there is no building within X amount of feet of the river and no logging. It helps protect the river, to keep the river cool and the vegetation close to the river so the fish has a habitat, which is an important thing. Back in the early 70s, they had some issues, worried about canoe rental places taking over, and the trout fishermen in the local area really got up in arms about it. So they worked at it, and I don't remember exactly what date it is, but it became right around 1980, I guess. Became a scenic and wild forever river.
This portion of today's show brought to you by Superior Welding and Manufacturing, a proud supporter of the outdoors.
Visit the Real Outdoors Ultimate Online Sports Show to find great deals on a variety of hunting and fishing products and trips to great lodges and outfitters from across the U.S. and Canada. Open 24/7, featuring a variety of live shows throughout the year. The Real Outdoors Ultimate Online Sports Show. It's free and it's easy. Visit anytime. www.ultimateonlinesportshow.com.
The art of taxidermy is the passion of North Country legends. Borrowing on decades of experience from some of the most accomplished wildlife artists in the country, each mount delivers award-winning quality and lifelike realism. Throughout the process, your trophy will receive meticulous care to ensure that you receive a finished piece that you can be proud of. Design assistance is available to help you select the perfect pose to showcase your trophy, as well as custom pieces for the most discriminating customers. To find out more, visit North Country Legends at northcountrylegends.com. If you're in the Seney area, I highly recommend taking the time to visit the Seney National Wildlife Refuge. Take a break, relax, explore, and enjoy a place where management decisions are made in the best interest of the wildlife and the habitats in which they live.
This is the Seney National Wildlife Refuge. It's one of over 550 national wildlife refuges in the United States. We are a part of the National Wildlife Refuge system. This particular refuge was created in 1935. It came about as a result of a failed agricultural land project where they actually came in and tried to drain the greater Manistee Swamp and sell it off as farmland. They advertised it as some of the finest farmland in Michigan or even in the United States. And that failed miserably, and eventually the land reverted back to the state for taxes, and the state turned it over to the federal government to make the Seney National Wildlife Refuge, which is 95,000 acres up here in the UP. We have part of the refuge is a 25,000 acre federally designated wilderness area, which is on the west side of the refuge. Refuge is open year-round to permitted activities, which include hiking, biking, wildlife observation, wildlife photography, and education and interpretation. We have a fully staffed visitor center that's open from May 15th through October 15th of every year. Activities you can participate in the summer are hiking. We have a nature trail right here, and also a 1¼ mile hiking trail, which is interpreted with signage about the habitat and the wildlife. The northern hardwoods area is open to hiking in the summer. All of our 85 miles of roads are open to biking and hiking. We have a 7½ mile auto tour route, which takes off right here from the visitor center. The tour route also includes a fishing loop, where fishing is allowed per state regulations. We don't allow any lead tackle, so steel sinkers, and you're allowed to use live bait and artificial bait on the fishing loop through September 30th. And we also have the Northern Hardwoods cross-country ski area, which obviously is open to cross-country skiing in the winter, and the trails are groomed every year. What we do here to manage for wildlife is we try to look at habitat as a whole. We don't manage for any particular species. And there are some species here that are very popular. The trumpeter swans and common loons are some of our more obvious and easy to see species, but we also have a fairly large population of white-tailed deer, large for the UP. There's also black bears. We have about 2 packs of wolves that use the refuge on occasion, and all sorts of other mammals and birds that you'd expect to see out in this kind of habitat. A couple of programs that have been fairly successful here at Seney was the reestablishment or restoration of the Canada goose flock, and also the reestablishment or restoration of the trumpeter swan flock here on the refuge. This was accomplished in both cases by releasing birds onto the refuge, and the swans, as I said before, is a very visible species. We now roughly have about 28 nesting pairs of swans on the refuge, and they're hatching right now in late June. And anywhere you go on the refuge, you can usually run into a couple of cygnets with their parents. And then also out on the E-pool, you'll find up to 250 loafing birds. These are the non-breeders that stay out here. So we run a population of between 250 and 300 birds on the refuge at any given time. Canada geese were also restored here, and that's been a very successful project as well. Quite a few geese around, some very tame flocks here at the visitor center that are used to people and don't generally run off. A couple other interesting birds that you may encounter on the refuge while you're driving around are, of course, the ruffed grouse, which is a woodland bird, and they'll get out on the roads, very visible. And on the north side of the refuge, up at the diversion farm, we have a flock of sharp-tailed grouse. And there are sharp-tailed grouse at other spots, but this is the place where you can almost always see them if you're willing to walk in. And again, on that part of the refuge, we have our C3 pool, where you can find good opportunities to see swans, good opportunities to see loons, and there's also an eagle's nest up there. We have several eagle's nests on the refuge. They're marked on the tour route with indicators as to where the nest is, and osprey as well. We have an osprey nest just across the pool behind the visitor center. Very easy to see, and another one of our spectacular and easy to observe birds. We use a lot of tools for managing the habitat. We use timber harvest, we use fire, essentially just letting things go the way they go. When you come out, you will notice that there's 3 areas of the refuge going from east to west. The first area, which is where most of the public use is available, is what we call Unit 1, and it's about 6,000 acres, surface acres of water that were built by the Civilian Conservation Corps in the 40s and the 50s. This area is managed, the water levels are managed for tundra swans, loons, and other kind of creatures that you may find out here. And as you move farther west across the refuge, you'll start to see less and less of man's impact on the land, and eventually ending up in the wilderness area on the west side. So areas on this side of the refuge, we have what we call conservation area. As you get to the center of the refuge, it's more of a restoration where we're trying to restore the natural hydrology to the area, and then preservation in the west where we have our wilderness area. Again, the activities that I've stated earlier are available on the entire refuge. Low impact access is available to everybody. The only place we do allow vehicles is here at the headquarters on the tour route.
Deer love apples. That's why the Mighty Deerlick Company created the original, one and only, real apple blocks for deer. Mighty Deerlicks are made with pure fresh apple and the perfect 1-to-1 calcium-phosphorus ratio for superior antler growth. If you want big bucks with big racks, feed Mighty Deerlick year-round. See our live deer cam at mightydeerlick.com. Mighty Deerlick, simply the best. It's time for Only in the UP, the segment of the show that highlights the creative duct tape never ceases to amaze me crafty and inventive spirit of those of us who live here, otherwise known as Yooper ingenuity. This week we'll find out what it takes to visit over 100 of the UP's finest bars when we meet up with Randy and Kevin Cluck, authors of the book Yooper Bars.
Well, I tell you what, it's hard to believe we actually finished this book. I didn't think we'd ever finish it. 8 months, 47,000 miles, every nook and cranny in the UP uncovered, and here it is. Congratulations, co-author. And I remember that day you came and got me and said, hey, Dad, here's what I do with my business degree. I'm going to bar hop across the UP for a year, write a best-selling book about it, get people up here to enjoy what we're enjoying, and I need you to come along with me, please.
Now, here's the great part about that is most fathers would say, hey, you're nuts, but did I have to twist his arm even a little bit to come along with me?
It still hurts a little bit.
No.
I just still hard to believe we did all that work. 8 months, 47,000 miles. We basically drove the equivalent of twice around the equator, 47,000 miles back and forth in 9 months. We did the book because we think a long weekend at the Upper Peninsula is better than any other place in the Midwest. And the bars up here, it's not about the drink and it's not about the shot and a beer. It's about the community center atmosphere that's available at these Yooper bars, number one.
And Johnny Cash stopped here once. He parked there and people going to the store. He come over here and bought whoever was in there, some elder people, old Grandpa Hollingsted and a few other guys here, and bought him a drink and left a $100 bill on said, hey, is that good enough? And away he went.
A lot of people are telling us the most important travel guide ever printed, but it's really nice once in a while to, before you leave your driveway, know exactly what you're going to be doing and going to, and what's it going to be like for you. Is that what you really like or don't like before you even leave your driveway? This book lays out completely hours, food available, drink specials, entertainment. I just still hard to believe we did all that work. 8 months, 47,000 miles, profiling.
Wait.
110 of the best bars in the UP.
You said work. Could you really call it work? I mean, all we did was go around and...
Oh, I think Mike Rowe would be jealous. It ended up being a dirty job. How would you like another year of waking up every Monday, looking at your itinerary, and seeing that you have to be in this bar on a Wednesday, this bar for karaoke on Thursday, the fish fry at that bar on a Friday, and then the all-you-can-eat prime rib on a Saturday, week in, week out, month in, month out. You remember those days? Yeah, it was a little bit of work.
You can find a copy of Yooper Bars at many bookstores, Amazon, and yooperbars.com. If you know someone or something that makes you say only in the UP, let us know by visiting us on Facebook or on our website. Well, that's our show for this week. You can count on seeing more of the Fox River and its Brookies in the future. And the next time you're looking for something to do on the weekend, pack up the kids and check out the Seney National Wildlife Refuge. It's a great place to learn more about the Upper Peninsula's great outdoors. We'll see you next Monday night right here on Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.